In this video, I'm going to go over the answers for the 8.3 alternate assignment in the Algebra 1 class. So we're going to start with, at the top here, there's some information about the signs of when you factor x squared plus bx plus c, you have to decide whether there's going to be plus or minuses. So you always are going to have two sets of parentheses. We've discussed that in some other videos. And then this top information really is just focusing on how do you know whether to put a plus or a minus sign. And that's what these first problems are. So if they're both plus, you have plus 9x plus 18, both the middle term and the last term are plus, then these are both going to be plus. So this is correct. In number 2, we have a minus and a minus. If you have both minus signs, one will need to be a minus and one will need to be a plus. The reason is because when you FOIL this back, you're going to have x times x is x squared. That's that. Then you'll have the outer, which is x times negative 5. That's negative 5x. And the inner would be, in this case, negative 2x. Negative 5x minus 2x is not negative 3x, so this isn't going to work. Plus, look at the last times last. Negative 2 times negative 5 would be a plus 10. So one of these needs to be a plus and one needs to be minus. In order to tell which one is which, you are going to look at the middle term. The middle term has a minus sign, so you want the bigger number to have the minus sign. You want the smaller number to be the opposite sign. So this one needs to be the plus. Now when we FOIL it, you can see that, and I can do the FOIL real quick, we would have, FOIL this together. Oops, I moved some things in it. There we go. Okay, so if you FOIL this together, you're going to have first times first is x squared. And then the outer would be this outside x times this negative 5, which would be minus 5x. And then the inner are these two that are right next to each other. So the 2, positive 2 times x would be a plus 2x. And then the last term of this parentheses times the last term of this parentheses, that's what the L is for. That would be 2 times 5 is negative 10. And then all we need to do next is add our like terms together. The x squared doesn't have any other like terms, but minus 5x plus 2x is the same as minus 3x. And then the minus 10 stays. So this right here has to match this, and it does, other than my spacing is a little tight down here. That's how we know we have the right signs and the right numbers. So you should be able to always get these right because you can always check by FOILing. Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3 should be both pluses because the middle and the last term are plus, so this is correct. Now here's number 4. We have a minus and then a plus. When I do FOIL, when I do last times last, I have to get a positive 12. But in this example, we have a negative 3 times a positive 4 would give me a negative number. You need to either have plus plus or minus minus. If I did plus plus, we already know that that's what we would do if they were both pluses. If you have a minus for the middle term and a plus for this one, then you need to have both of the parentheses need to be a minus sign. So now let's check this with FOIL. First times first means you take x times x, the first of one parentheses times the first of another parentheses. Then outer means to take the outer part, which is the farthest two away, the x times away over here, the minus 4. That would be minus 4x. Then the inner. The inner is going to be the two that are closest together right here. Negative 3 times x, minus 3x. And then the last term times the last term. That would be negative 3 times negative 3. Negative times negative is positive, so positive 12. And then our last step is just to go ahead and combine our like terms. There's no other squared term, so x squared is by itself. But we do have a minus 4x and then a minus 3x. Together, that's minus 7x, and then the plus 12. Now again, we need to check and see is this, x squared minus 7x plus 12, the exact same thing as this, x squared minus 7x plus 12. And they are the same, so then we know that we picked the right signs, we got the right numbers in there, and everything's correct. All right, number 5 has a plus and then a minus. Anytime that this last term is a negative, we know we need one positive and one negative. In this case, these are exactly correct because you want the sign of the larger, 4 is bigger than 1, you want that one to have the same sign as the middle term. Okay, that works. Here again, we have a plus. Whenever we have a plus, it's just like number 4, we either have to have minus minus in the parentheses or a plus plus in the parentheses, like in number 1. When the middle term is a minus, these are both going to need to be minus as well. And we will check those with FOIL every time. Check with FOIL every single time. And when you do that, you'll find you get the right answer. Let's look at these and see if there's any more mistakes. These are a plus and a minus. So one of them will need to be plus and one will be minus. However, these two signs need to be switched around. They aren't going to work this way because when I combine my like terms after I FOIL, I would get negative 5x. So number 7 has a mistake. Number 8 has a mistake because if I do last times last here, I'd get a plus 42 and I need a minus 42. So look which other one did we do that had a minus minus? Number 2 had a minus minus. Look at the signs. One of them will need to be plus, one will need to be minus. Whatever the sign of the middle term is, that's what your bigger one needs to match. The other one will be a plus then. And this is plus plus, that's correct. Okay, now when we get down to number 10, first of all, the spacing is funny on these. I'm going to put some spaces between the 10, 11, and the 12. It looks almost like the 10 is part of the problem, but it's just number 10 and number 11. All right, when we FOIL, we take first times first, outer times outer, inner times inner, and last times last. If you do that with what we have here, x plus 7 times x minus 5, we would not get this. It doesn't work because 7 times negative 5 is not 21. So these are not the right numbers in here. They might be the right signs, but they're not the right numbers. Our job is going to be to, I'm just going to take away the plus and the minus for now. We need to figure out what goes in these parentheses. You're right that it'll be an x and an x. That's our first thing. Let's look at the signs. Okay, this is a plus 21. We can get a positive 21 by, let's see, let's make my factors of 21 here. My factors of 21 are 1 times 21 or negative 1 times negative 21, because negative times negative is positive. I also could do 3 times 7, or I could do negative 3 times negative 7. Now, that means that in this parentheses is either going to be a 1 or a 21 or a 3 or a 7. And same thing over here. If we put a 1 here, we got to put a 21 here. If we put a 3 here, we got to put a 27 here. Only the factors of 21 could possibly go in that parentheses, nothing else. So now to find out which one to use, 1 plus 21 is 22. 22 is not equal to negative 10. Okay? Negative 1 plus negative 21, that's equal to negative 22. That's not equal to negative 10. 3 plus 7 is 10. I'm getting closer. I want negative 10 though. Negative 3 plus negative 7 is negative 10. Now I know what to put in here. I want to put in here negative 3. Get some extra spaces in there. I'll just delete those. I deleted my 3. And over here, I want to put the negative 7. Now, why do I want to do that? I want to do that because now I'm going to check it by FOILing. FOILing is when you multiply binomials, you take x, the first times first is x times x. X times x is x squared. Then I take the outer, FOIL, O is next. I take the x times the negative 7. x times negative 7 is minus 7x. Then I take the inner, I is next, negative 3, just the negative 3, times x. Negative 3 times x is minus 3x. And then I take the last times the last, which is negative 3 times negative 7. Negative 3 times negative 7 is a positive because negative times negative is positive. And now finally I just have to combine my like terms. I'd have x squared, negative 7x minus 3x is negative 10x, and then plus 21. Nothing else goes with that. Now again, you always want to check now and see, is x squared minus 10x plus 21 the same as x squared minus 10x plus 21? They are. They're the same. They match. So that means that we have the correct factor here. We factored the trinomial into two binomials. So now in number 11, we can't have 6 and 5 because 6 times 5 is 30. It's not 24. We need to find the factors of 24, negative 24, that we can put in here. So what are the factors of 24? 24 is 1 and 24, and we need one of them to be negative. I don't know which one yet, though. So it might be negative 1 and 24. Another factor of 24 is 2 and 12. One of them needs to be negative because we have a negative. Whoops, that negative 2. And let's see, other factors would be 6 and 4, and 3 and 8. I'm going to jump to the 3 and 8 one. One of them needs to be negative 3 and negative 8, or negative 3 and 8. The reason I jumped to that one is because once you find your factors of 24, you want to pick the ones that will add to a positive 5 because that's our middle term. So these right here, if I added negative 3 plus 8, I would get a positive 5. So now I know what to put in here. Minus 3 plus 8. And then we'll check it with FOIL again. X times x is x squared. Then you'll do the outer. X times 8 is 8x. Then you'll do the inner. Minus 3 times x is minus 3x. And then you'll do the last times the last. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. And then the middle two terms are going to work. You're going to get a plus 5. So in this one, we can't have a 15. We can't have an 11 because 15 times 11 is not 30. You need to think about what times what equals 30. And then like 3 times 10 maybe would go here. That won't work though. 5 times 6 maybe would go there. Maybe 15 times 2. You have to pick the ones, make a list of all the factors and pick the factors that when you add them, you'll get 11. Also, of course, when you multiply them, you have to get 30. It's like a puzzle. Just moving on a little bit. The factors of 16, 7 times 10 does not equal 16. So these are not factors. Factors mean what times what equals. 8 times 2. So this doesn't work. And 2 times, that's 10. And what else are factors of 16? You could do 1 and 16. This is just a way to list your factors. 1 and 16, and 4 and 4 would be the other ones. And then they're asking you to check the sum of those factors. So notice that 1 times 16 is 16. That means it's a factor. So for the sum, if I can get there. Yeah. There were some boxes that they wanted you to type in. You don't have to worry about that, but there. When I add 1 and 16, oh, that's where I got the 17, or you got the 17 from. 4 and 4 is 8, 2 and 8 is 10. So now we're going to pick the ones that we need the factors of 16 that add to 10. The factors of the last term that add to the middle term. So it's always the factors of the last term that add to the middle term. So I'm kind of messing these up, but the factors are going to end up being x plus 2 times x plus 8. These are the ones that are going to work. And you still have to write them like this, but these are the wrong ones. The 7 and the 9 is wrong. The x plus and the x plus is right, but you have the wrong numbers there. All right, and then 14 needs to be fixed because negative 9 times 29 is not equal to 20. These aren't the factors of, I can't fix it, but these are not the factors of 20. The factors of 20 that will add to negative 9. So your job is to find the factors of 20, what times what equals 20 that will add to negative 9. So you'll have to fix these up. All right, so that's the 8.3 alternate assignment. Thank you very much.